It's such a basic principle to something like trend following trading. You use the price information to make your decisions. Entry, exit, position sizing. You simply use the price of the market instrument. If Apple is at XYZ price, that's what you base your decisions on. You don't base your decisions on the balance sheet. You're not Warren Buffett. You also don't base your decisions on how you think the chart pattern might be moving, which might predict tomorrow. That's bullshit. So trend following, quite simply, cuts through all the shit, cuts through all the nonsense, says we don't know anything, so we're going to follow the price, and that's it. You surrender to the price. You don't like that feeling? Well, today I'm going to give you some stories about why not trusting the price as your sole decision-making cue is problematic and possibly just insane. One of the tools that I've used over the years to gain insights beyond just hard work, elbow grease, knocking on doors, making phone calls, sending emails, showing up. Beyond that, one of the tools that I've used in America is something called the Freedom of Information Act. Maybe it's titled something different depending on the level of government. But in America, to this day, and I'm not saying it's perfect, as I will explain, but the Freedom of Information Act allows you to ask the government for public documents. Now, this could be at the local level, like a town or a city. It could be at the county level. It could be at the state level. It could be at the federal level. And I've used it on all four levels: town, county, state, and federal. And using it on all four levels has changed my life, as I will share with you right now. The first time I used the Freedom of Information Act was around age 19 to 20. I was asking a local town for information. I wanted to know about their decision-making. I wanted to see the documents about how things came to be. And this was my right as a constituent to ask for this information. Now, here's something you should know about governments. They're generally not honest, and they generally don't want to comply with the Freedom of Information Act because it forces them to do more work. They actually have to find the documents for you. That's one reason they don't like it. The other reason they don't like it, they like their secrets. Secrets equals power. So I remember making a request to this local government, and they gave me a pile of documents that I requested. It's kind of like a fishing expedition. You say you want all the documents that were signed by XYZ person. Then they give you all these documents. Now, sometimes you have to narrow the scope down, etc. But in this instance, I was given a batch of documents, and I was sitting in the clerk's office looking at the batch of documents. And she wanted to know which ones I wanted copies of. And I gave her the ones that I wanted copies of. Well, then she looks at me and she says, "You can't have copies of this one. This is a mistake. You are not supposed to see this." The mistake that I was not supposed to see showed the entire political operation of the local government to be dirty. And now I saw it. But I could not get proof of it because I wasn't supposed to see it. You see how this freedom of information works? You're supposed to get the documents. But governments don't play fair. They don't play right. Now, what do you think as a 19 or 20-year-old man, if you see how that goes down at the local level? What can you imagine about the county level, the state level, the federal level? extrapolate out. Then as you get older and you start to look at the Warren Buffett style of analyzing markets, balance sheets, etc., then you start to think, well, what information is real? Have they hidden something from me? Is this everything? Are they lying? Is it misinformation? Is it disinformation? Have they just left shit out? That was my feeling at age 19 to 20. It was like pulling back the curtain to see, my God, it's all bullshit. They're lying scumbags. They're lying motherfuckers. This is how they play the game. Roll forward in my early 20s, assisting a local political candidate to get elected, they tasked me with opposition research. And so I went to the county offices to search for documents. And the lady that we were running against had been on the county board for 30 years. She was a legend. Not my political persuasion, completely different than me, so I didn't really care for her, but she was a legend. And she had made this comment that if you're going to have a building, it shouldn't be utilitarian. Now, this was a time where money was short. Budgets were tight. And so I read this comment and I thought to myself, this doesn't sound right. She doesn't talk like this. She wouldn't use the word utilitarian. And so, of course, I went and I pulled the videotape from where she made the comment, because the utilitarian word was put into the press. So here we go. We got the symbiotic relationship between media and politics, a dirty, scummy relationship. So the press had used the word utilitarian. So she's basically saying, look, we don't want to build buildings for the county government and have them just be utilitarian, meaning they should be beautiful. And I just thought that was interesting. So when I pulled up the videotape, I had to sit there for hours to find it. She didn't say utilitarian. She said something to the effect of, the Japanese people have an expression. If you're going to have a teapot, it might as well be beautiful. Now, this was damning. This sounded arrogant. Arrogant as shit. So, of course, I got a copy of the videotape. I took it to the campaign office, gave it to the campaign manager, the candidate. They saw it. They didn't tell me anything. They didn't act like they were interested at all. Now, I thought it was a pretty big deal because it made this legendary politician they were running against look like she didn't care about how much money got spent. It looked terrible at that point in time in history. So I never heard anything else about what I had found until the day before the election, when the campaign that I had found the information for had taken the information that I had found and slathered it all over all of their marketing documents. And guess what? They won. Now that's me as a young man having another lesson about how the media is running cover for the politicians, having the instinct to know that this particular person did not use the word utilitarian, and to go dig up the information, and knowing that the information would be valuable because it would shed light on how scummy the system is, just like I'm sharing with you today. So here's my second lesson at a young age. How the hell do you trust a system like this? This is a dirty system. People are lying every day. Now extrapolate out these early lessons as an early man for me across the entire system. Where do the lies start? Where do the lies stop? And how can you trust? Now taking it back to trend following, how can you trust anything but the price? Because all of the information, all of the news, all of the political reports or the economic reports coming out of the Fed, how do we know what is a lie and what is not a lie? And then if you ask for the documents, are you going to get the documents? I mean, I have a FOIA request that's pending before the FBI right now on documents that I want. They told me it was going to take, I think, 1,000+ days. I think I'm 700 or 800 days into the request, maybe more. Basically, it was going to be like a 5-year request. Crazy. I'm still waiting. Now, there was a third incident that helped me to really see more how this system works. And this happened around the time that my film Broke came out, which you should check out. Me at a little bit younger age, but hardcore trend following, featuring some legendary trend following traders, only featured in my documentary film. I bring this situation up because I remember watching the Oscars telecast around 06, 07, I think, something like that. And in the state of Virginia, they ran a lottery commercial. The state of Virginia ran a lottery commercial with a Jim Cramer lookalike. And he was pounding shit, bald, looked like Cramer, screaming like Cramer about selling the lottery. You know, getting people to buy lottery tickets. I mean, what a scam, right? Lottery tickets, the biggest fucking scam there is. And the state government runs it to get poor people and dumb people to buy this shit. So, of course, here I am making a documentary film uncovering all the crap that there is about finance and investments at that point in time. And I see the state of Virginia, my home state, running a commercial with a Jim Cramer lookalike. I say to myself, how the hell did this come to be? Now, I'm not a younger man at this point in time. Now I know how the system works. So I make a request to the state of Virginia. And one of their big attorneys got back to me. And they were trying to qualify my request because I wanted to know how the damn ad came to be. How did the lottery office decide that we should look at Jim Cramer on CNBC and then model a lottery advertisement after that? I wanted to see the fucking notes of the fucking idiots, the fucking dirty people that invented that ad. Well, of course, they didn't show me that. But they did give me a copy of the ad, and they told me that I could not use it. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. It's fucking state property. Of course I used it. So when you take in these types of experiences, how the hell do you possibly have faith in information? Have faith in news, have faith in government? Only if you're sadistic, only if you're mentally unstable, because it's a dirty system. So if you have a dirty system, how do you make decisions inside of a dirty system? Well, you try to find the one piece of information that they can't fuck with and they can't hide. They can't fuck with and they can't hide the price. Every day we can see the price of gold. Every day we know where the Japanese yen is. They can't fuck with that. At least not yet. I mean, I saw a video the other day from the new presidential candidate in America, Kamala Harris, talking about how great equity is and how we all need equal outcomes. Can you imagine that from a trading perspective? Equal outcomes. How the fuck does that work? I mean, this is crazy town. But price is it. Across this backdrop, how can you use any other decision-making cue than price? Well, Mike, you don't understand. We studied 5 million balance sheets and 3 million annual reports, and we know all the fundamentals. Well, that's great. Do you know all the lies? Do you know what was left out? Do you know what the misinformation is? Do you know what the disinformation is? No, you don't. But guess what? When you show up at college, anyone listening right now, have you ever had a college class where someone walked in, a professor walked in and said, guess what, kids? We're here today to discuss the Freedom of Information Act. And now we're going to discuss how dirty the system is. And oh, by the way, if you try this Freedom of Information Act stuff on universities, which are generally public, they have to comply too, but they play the same games. They hide everything. Now, unfortunately, as time has gone on, governments have found ways to make these requests burdensome. It takes forever, and you might not get what you want. But for me, I saw enough to know, to extrapolate out. This wasn't just some irregular occurrence happening to Mike Covel. This is how they run this shit, man. This is how it goes down. And if you think I'm possibly exaggerating or wrong, hey, guess what, motherfucker? you better show up with some damn good rebuttal. And guess what? I already know you don't have a rebuttal. So anybody who doesn't like what I'm saying right now, you're just on the side that likes having the power to control the information to fuck with people. I get it. That's your deal. It's not my deal. The people that like me, the people that follow me, the people that want to share with me, we don't want that crap in our lives. The administrative state across the globe is so big and so many jobs depend on it. These motherfuckers have sold their souls to be dirty. Now, let me pull back for a second. Because I'm not fixated on this. I get pissed about it because I think about it. But there's only one way around it. There's only one way around the nonsense that I'm talking about. And that's to be a trend-following trader and use price to make your buy and sell decisions. Now, here is where ultimately it's complicated. I don't think most people have any idea what that means. I think people that read my books, perhaps listen to my podcasts, they get it. But most people, they don't. They've not had the opportunity to get it. They don't know anything about the Freedom of Information Act. They don't know anything about how dirty the system is. They just go through their lives trusting. I will buy and hold and trust the system. And maybe that works. Maybe that works until you're age 60 or 70 or 80, right when you want to retire. And then the system says, not so fast. We're going to pull the rug out from underneath you. And the markets drop 50%. Your kids don't get to inherit much. Your retirement just went down the pisser. And here you are now. Entertain us, as Kurt Cobain once sang. I never do these podcasts and get off angry or agitated. I just look at this as an opportunity to share, to give some insights, to make you think. But when I'm done, I'm done. We'll ask this. If you have any great insights about your involvement with the Freedom of Information Act in any capacity, I would love for you to share with me. I'll share it on this podcast. If you have any great stories, most people have not ever done this. Perhaps people feel like, well, if I ask the government these types of things, the government will fuck with me. Perhaps. I'm not going to say that's not true. It's a pretty wacky world these days, isn't it? Truth is hard to come by. You have to find the truth. You have to know it's the truth. You have to prove to yourself it's the truth. How many different areas of life can you do that today? Beyond price, beyond the price of a market, it's extremely difficult to find the truth. Even though we have cameras everywhere, even though there's people spying on everyone everywhere, probably spyware on our phones, the truth is often hidden. But you know, if you can accept what I'm saying today about the price, life gets easy. Life gets calm. You don't worry about stuff that you can't control. You don't try to figure out what I was trying to figure out as a young man, how dirty the government is. You know, just move on. Acknowledge it for what it is and move on. Now, I got to share one kind of fun Freedom of Information request that I've done over the years. This was to the federal government, and I was looking for information on the original turtle traders. So I wanted to see their registrations when they all left Richard Dennis to go out and work on their own. I've not shared these yet. I don't know if they're still available, but I have all the original copies of their applications to become fund managers after Richard Dennis. Now, maybe some people might think that all the turtle traders were stars before they went to work for Richard Dennis. Not so fast. Their applications in their own handwriting, the various jobs they held, restaurant staff, wait staff, all kinds of stuff like that. They truly were regular people. Now, I'm not saying some of them were not extremely smart. They were. But when you read their applications, you see their handwriting, you see all the jobs they had before they became turtles. They were just young people making their way. That's motivating. Now, that is actually one of the more positive freedom of information requests situations that I ever had. I did get those documents. There might have been one or two that they held back information from me on. I'm not sure why. I can't recall. But overall, I got that information, and it was motivating. And it actually made it into my book, The Complete Turtle Trader. Look, my objective with this podcast is to bring a perspective, to bring knowledge and wisdom that you might not be aware of, or if you are aware of it, to give you the confirmation, to give you the pat on the back that you know it too, and we're on the same team. So damn it, go have a great week, and I'll see you again in August? I think so. Enjoy.
I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.